Okay, yeah, this one's called Homewatch Caregivers. So it's in the in-home senior care space. So um, we talk about like blue chip franchises, like we've kind of started to develop that criteria together. But this one is, they've been around for a long time, and that's one we like. That's one of the criteria we like to see. So they've been around since 1980. Started offering franchises in 1996. So again, proven the test of time. They have 213 franchise units throughout the country. Total investment range is right in line with other senior care franchises, between 90-ish thousand and 154. So royalty fee 5%, that's very reasonable. National marketing fee uh, starts high, starts normal and then slides down. Were you going to say something?
No.
Oh, okay. um, and so, yeah, this is pretty typical setup. But when you look at Homewatch Caregivers, they do both medical and non-medical services. So most of the time, like unless you have like a nursing background or some sort of existing license, you would just start with non-medical, which is like more companion care. Build a team of companion care workers, and then as you grow your business, you can add in the medical side of things, which is more, you're hiring licensed nurses to do the work and go in home with your customers. So this one, we've had a lot of interest lately in senior care franchises, and I would say this is one we definitely usually check for availability when when our clients do express interest in this category. It is a really good franchise. It's a scalable business. These businesses do take a little while and to get ramped up, and it can be a grind at the start, but man, you can build it into a nice business, as you can see from the top earner in this network. So we want to dive into the data a little bit more here. Let's see if I can read that. So as Tariq was mentioning, the top earner was doing 24 million and they're 4+ years. And I'd be curious to know how many territories that person has, but regardless, 24 million is insane. So let's look at the average. So 1 to 2 years in business. I like when franchises break this down. So 1 to 2 years in business, their average gross sales were 328,000. 2 to 3 years jumps up to 456, and then you see the big jump in year 3, so 1.1 million. So like I said before, if you can like sustain that slower level of ramp up period, by year 3 you can have a really nice business, and you can build upon that. It's reoccurring revenue. These are very attractive businesses for people to buy, if you build these up. So good potential exit plan for these. But yeah, Homewatch Caregivers, it's a good brand. It's part of a bigger umbrella company that has multiple franchises underneath it. Yeah, I'll pause there.
Yeah, sweet. And Kevin, I think we might have a lag again, by the way, because when I finished before, there was like a delay. So I'm not sure if there might be, as a heads up. Yeah. So okay. So to me, okay. So we can see the numbers. Kevin pointed out the numbers, right? 1 to 2 years in business, 328 grand average sales, 456, 2 to 3, and then 1.1 million, 3 to 4. Here's what I want to point out, right? Is that what I tell people all the time is that if you can go in, most people go in. There's a phrase that Tony Robbins says, that most people overestimate what they can accomplish in 1 year and underestimate what they can accomplish in 5 or 10. And so, a lot of times we may have conversations with people. They're like, yeah, I want to replace my income year 1, or I want to make a 100 grand in profit year 1. And it's like, okay, well, one, it's possible, probably unlikely, right? Year 1, unless you stay super lean, you buy something that has incredible market demand, the business already, so you skirt the learning curve, and you go balls to the wall. and you keep your labor costs super low, and you're kind of pretty much like working 60 hours a week, possibly, right? Like there are people that have certainly done it, but it's like if you can have a year 3 to 5 mindset in your business and not have this instant gratification, pretty much many of the businesses that we show, because we try to bring you ones where it shows franchisees that have a like proven sales records at least. Most of these businesses you can crush it. So I just want to plant the seed with you. This is what had me 9 years and 9 different failed businesses, because I kept jumping from damn thing to damn thing because I wasn't seeing results quick enough. I was getting impatient. And the most successful business owners, they just keep pushing through those initial points to when they have the momentum. And that there's no clear like stat that I've seen recently that shows it as dramatic as like more than 2xing average sales from years 2 to 3 to 3 to 4. I mean, that is just a really significant stat. So I really just want to plant that seed with you, and the fact that someone's making $24 million a year. Well, no, I was going to say something. No shiznit that it's, that they're 4 years plus. It takes time to build up that type of business, guys. It takes time to build up that kind of business. And yes, to Kevin's point, wonder how many territories that they own. I'm guessing it's not just one. But like, this is cool to be able to see these sort of numbers overall. And even the median here at years 3 to 4 at 1.3 million is pretty cool. And then it goes lower here in the 4-year group, but I'm sure this 24 million one is weighing it down for sure in terms of the median, because you're just taking the number in the middle in that case. But obviously it shows a proven track record here. I didn't even wind up looking at this table previously, Kevin, but do you have an analysis of it?
I do not, to be honest with you.
That's okay.
I mean, I think that's a really good point. And it's like, this industry is only going to continue to be in high demand. Like every client we have that goes through validation, when they talk to owners, the owners will say like, the demand is there. It's not about the demand. It's about like, can you get enough caregivers and keep them happy and build a culture and like keep them around? Like, that's what this business is about. And I almost like there is that barrier to entry, because a lot of people cannot go 1 to 2 years and maybe not pay themselves what they have been in, a corporate job or something. But if you can do that and be patient and grind and then sustain it, by year 3 and beyond, you can have a really, really good business.
Yeah, and that's proven here. I'm just looking at the table as you're talking. Thanks for buying me some time, Kevin.
Yeah.
Um, but you can see that you got okay. It's showing mature franchisees. I don't know how they defined mature. Like, we only grabbed the snippets of that, but regardless of that, there are 32 franchisees doing greater than $2 million in sales, and that represents about 90 territories. So they each have about 3 territories, right? Which is pretty interesting. So that's showing you that if they're doing greater than 2 million, let's assume about the lowest at 2.1, that's most easily divided by 3. That means that each territory theoretically could be averaging 700K in sales or about, right? And so it just shows, when you see numbers like this, you go, okay, the opportunity is there. It's been proven. At this point, it's like, okay, number one, how do I become one of those top earners? We know number one already, just time. Just like, if you're there for 4 years, you have a high likelihood of producing the average if you're there 4 years. So just be there for 4 years, right? Number one. Number two is, to Kevin's point, what for those of you who follow Alex Hormozy, one of the things that he made a video on recently was like, what business are you actually in? And he actually used a similar example for people that were built a cleaning business. And they're like, look, you're actually not your business is not about acquiring new customers. Your business is about being able to recruit cleaners. That's the business that you're in, because pretty much trying to get cleaning clients is pretty easy. So like Kevin's saying, like there's so much demand, because we're going to go over the numbers in a second about just demand and how this rising tide of the trend of people getting older, like there's going to be plenty of opportunity. The real business you're going to be in, if you can master recruiting and training and retaining employees, you would likely crush it.
100%. Yeah. I mean, this business would be like, and it's, some of them are going to be part-time employees. It's probably going to be a lot of like female employees that go in home to do this from what I've learned. But like if you can do that and build a team and be comfortable managing those types of employees, it's a great business. I mean, I looked it up. The mature is defined by 3 years of business plus 3 years in
Oh,
business. Yeah, so
boom.
it's not even that. um, it's
That
not.
fits right within my talking points of what I always tell people about it takes 3 years for a business to reach maturity. I'm gonna start quoting this. I'm gonna memorize these numbers now and start using that as like my reference point.
I mean, looking back, even like our business. I was looking back at it from year 2 to 3. It was a huge jump. You know, like it's very common in a lot of different industries. So anyways, I do think it's just like whoever can persist and like have mental toughness to grind through it. That's that's what it's going to take.
100% as and Kevin's gonna share demand in a second, but just a quick point on that, guys. It's like one of the things that I say, and this is gonna become one of the things that I just say all the time, is that entrepreneurship is a lot about whoever can endure the most pain for the longest period of time. And it's like, guys, entrepreneurship is hard. This is why not everyone does it. The opportunity, though, like we are so blessed to be in the United States. And I know we're streaming this. So, unfortunately, not all of you are in the United States. But for those of us who are, like the opportunity is there. Like we have the opportunity to go out there and build a business, but it's not easy. Like you're not going to get to live the life you want, create the income that you want, be in the top 5% of all Americans in terms of income and net worth and all those things by things happening easily. So, and that's okay. If you just go in with the frame of like, this will be hard, you'll be great because your level of expectation is it prepares you. It's like if someone just walked up and punched you in the stomach, you weren't expecting it, it's going to knock the wind out of you, right? But if they're like, hey, I'm going to punch you, brace, and you braced for it, it's not going to hurt nearly as bad because you were prepared. So when you start a business, be prepared for the pain and it's all good, right? Kevin and I both have young kids, like ages 5 and under. Like it's painful. There's a lot of painful moments of just like craziness. We were sending messages about kind of this weekend overall and just the craziness of our kids, but it's also incredibly worth it. And that's my analogy that I use for business. Um, but Kevin, you want to tell us about the demand for this sector overall?
Yeah, I mean, we're just pulling this, straight off a site, but usually by 2030, 1 in 5 U.S. residents will be over the age of 65, and 70% of those people will require long-term care. So it's just going to continue to grow. Like the demand's already there, and the supply doesn't appear to be there already, and that's only going to continue to increase. And I do feel like everyone wants to stay and feel independent as long as they can and stay in their home as long as they can. So it really is like providing a meaningful service. And I think if you are of that mindset and you can, like, it's all about mindset and the culture you set, and that is going to trickle down to your employees, and that's going to trickle down to your customers and the service you provide. If you can do that, man, it's a great opportunity that can not only be very lucrative, but can make a difference. So it's not for me. I don't think you'd be good at running it either, Tariq, knowing you, but some people would be phenomenal at it.
Yeah. And that's why it's important, guys, to really and so, if you're interested in this franchise, you want to see if it's available, you want to see if any other senior care ones are available, or you just want to know, hey, what franchises are available in my area, go to franchiseempire.com/check territory, enter your info so you can set up a free call with the team. Because here's where I'm going with this is that, you know, it's so important to have a professional by your side while you're looking at franchises because you may get excited, right? And you go, ooh, okay, I see this franchise is doing the top earners doing 24 million a year. This seems like something that can kind of meet my goals. Okay, the average, franchisee does 1.1 or 1.2, whatever it was in terms of an aggregate. And you go, I want to pursue this. The conversation that we need to have with you is like, you may suck at this business because of your wiring. So as an example, if you're someone that really you have a supporter personality, connector personality, you're probably going to do great in this business overall. That's not me. That's not Kevin. Like, we're all about results. We're all about bottom line, hard charging, hard asses, OCD. And this sort of business does not suit our skill set. So you got to make sure that you're choosing a franchise that not only just has the numbers in average sales, but it's got to match with your wiring. Because if you get in the wrong vehicle, like, you could be SOL. I rented one of those newer Corvettes like a month ago. And I'll tell you what, I used to want one. I was like, there's no chance in hell I could ever buy this car. I was grunting trying to get in and out of the car. I don't know how people do it. And I mean, I'm 36 years old. I'm in pretty decent shape. I don't know how people get in and out of that thing. It's so damn low. So I was like, oh, this is the wrong vehicle for me. And so some people get excited about the red shiny Corvette, aka the business, not realizing that, oh, the vehicle actually doesn't work for me, right? So when we show you these franchises, don't go like reaching out to them on our own. That's the business that we're in, right? So we want to provide this to you, and then you guys reach out to us and we can, help make that intro or even see if it's the right fit. But let's save you some time and heartache and not have you look at vehicles that you might wind up regretting and going, oh crap, I chose the wrong thing.
Yeah. Marcy dropped an interesting fact. Thank you, Marcy. I think that's how you say her name, Marcy. 10,000 people turn 65 each day. You see that stat?
Wow. That's crazy. Aging at home versus yeah. I mean, who wouldn't want to be in their home instead? It just shows the level, the level of opportunity is just huge. Andre, shout out to you, man. Andre's one of our clients.
Andre needs to hit the weights a little bit more, it looks like.
Right. Dude, Andre, I could never tell when you were on Zoom that you're that jacked.
Dang.
My goodness.
Looks like me on the fitness.
Oh, if you guys don't know about Kevin's sense of humor, one, he has some of the quickest, wittiest, and driest sense of humor. That's just hilarious. Well, okay. So what are some of the other talking points? You want to just run us through those real quick?
Yeah. So multiple revenue streams. We already talked about that: medical, non-medical, the recurring revenue, which is huge. Option for semi-absentee. I don't know if I agree with that, but for this type of business, but maybe eventually, like, I think you're going to have to be fully committed for a minimum of 2 years in this type of business to really get it to where you want it to be. And then, they've been around since 1980. They were bought by Authority Brands, which is a bigger umbrella company, well-financed. I like this company quite a bit. We've got actually, I think, one person going through validation with them right now.
Oh, cool. Nice. Cool. So and to Kevin's point, like, we are pretty skeptical about the term semi-absentee overall, as a team and as just our kind of basis at Franchise Empire. Here's the exception of that. If you're an experienced entrepreneur, or if you're used to leading like a team and an operation overall, could be a little bit different, right? Because if you are adept and skilled at hiring like a GM, and that, okay, I suck at sales, so I'm going to hire a GM or a manager that's great at sales and networking, or I suck at operations, so I'm going to hire my opposite, and you're able to find great talent right away. You don't have a short-term mindset in terms of, oh, I need to be profitable from day one, and you're willing to invest in the business, then it could work for you in that instance. And you have weekly meetings with them, you review your KPIs, you're a great leader. In those instances, that's where semi-absentee becomes, I think, realistic.
Yeah.
But for most of us, right, like, just leaving the job, may not have all that experience, you want to put yourself in the best position, right?
Yeah, I think you're more like against that, and not against, I don't know what the right word is, but than I am. But I feel like, especially for this type of business where it's so much about building the culture and like retaining people, like you can't really rely on somebody else to do that. In this type, like it's so important for this. But like if it's like a home services business where it's more technical in nature and it's not so much about like building a huge team, and you could get the right operations manager in the day to day, and you can afford to pay that person and keep your job, then I think it's doable. But for senior care, I don't know. I think it'd be challenging.
Yeah, I concur. All right, guys, if you want to check on this one or any other franchises, you go to franchiseempire.com/check territory to see what is available.